Hello, back again on this lovely Thursday morning here in St. Louis. I'm Bernie Miklasz. Welcome to the Bernie Miklasz Show here on YouTube. Thank you for your support. Please subscribe. Let others in your sphere know about this and tell them that they should check it out if they want unfiltered opinion. And a guy like me, it's been doing this a long time. There's no reason to hold back what I really think, and I don't. And so they can come here for candid Cardinals talk in terms of analyzing the state of this organization and what should or might be happening soon. It's going to be a busy and it's going to be a very important off season. So get your people to subscribe to the Bernie Show channel. There's my daily plug. Hope you're off to a good start today. All right, Ken Rosenthal today ran a list in The Athletic. You know, Ken Rosenthal ran a list in The Athletic of 10 managers who will be scrutinized at the end of the season. He had Oli Marmol on the list, but he had him last on the list. And let me just read you what Ken Rosenthal said, because it's funny. The timing's wonderful because I was going to talk about something very much related to this. Anyway, here's what Ken Rosenthal wrote in The Athletic, and I quote, Marmol, age 38, appears safe in part because President of Baseball Operations, John Mozeliak, plans to return for one more season. Mozeliak is not going to hire a new manager 1 year before Bill DeWitt Jr. installs a new front office. The next head of baseball operations should get to make that choice. Ken Rosenthal continued, and I quote, the Cardinals narrowly will avoid losing records in back-to-back full seasons for the first time since 1958-59. Their issues, however, Rosenthal wrote, run far deeper than Marmol, who led the team to 93 wins in 2022, his first season. His contract runs through 2026. He will get at least one more shot. That, according to Ken Rosenthal. I do agree with what he said in terms. First of all, I'm not here to dispute his opinion because I don't know what the Cardinals are going to do. You know, in other words, I could do the hot take, big mouth, look at me, click, click, click thing. I'm not going to do it by saying like, well, no, that's wrong. I know for a fact the Cardinals are going to fire Marmol. No, I'm not going to do it. You can go somewhere else for your clickbait. Anyway, I don't know why I would get nasty. But I agree that the next head of baseball operations should get that choice. Many of you agree because many of you have said that in the comments. And thank you as always for the comments. So it's a situation where I think most of us look at it this way. And I've said this all along, if Mo is going to be running the thing again, and then handing off to Bloom for 2026, if in fact Bloom's going to be the guy, Marmol's got a much better chance of keeping his job if Mo is still the head of the baseball department. But we don't know if that's going to be the case. And if Chaim Bloom, in fact, does get bumped up, if he, in fact, they announce next week, and again, I have no predictions on this. If they announce next week that they're going to do the change now, Mo's going to stay, he's going to be in the background, Chaim Bloom's taking over, well, then there's a chance that Chaim Bloom may decide to make a change. Maybe he's got a manager in mind. So I don't know which way this is going to go, but before I get into some other things, I made some notes yesterday about this because I was thinking about it. If Marmol is fired after this season, it would be likely for one of several reasons. And the reasons are fans just can't separate him from Mozeliak. The Cardinals have a PR problem. They have a fan relation problem. The fan base has understandably turned on John Mozeliak. There's really no bouncing back from that. And he is going to be around, so we assume he'll be around in some capacity, maybe as the boss, maybe in a secondary role. And we all know this because many of you have expressed this to me, and I thank you for that. Marmol is viewed as Mozeliak's pet, puppet, whatever other disparaging term you want to use. So the Cardinals got to regenerate fan enthusiasm, and they got to sell tickets for 2025. And they got to sell luxury suite leases for 2025 and premium seating for 2025, group sales for 2025. And after taking an attendance hit this year, it would be worse if they bring back the same group for 2025. So the Cardinals Bill DeWitt recognizing that the Cardinals are in a tough spot in terms of getting their fans, making their fans happier, they would move Mozeliak aside, and also Marmol would go with it. So that's one reason. Number two, Mozeliak stays in charge. He replaces Marmol because it will appease the fans to a certain extent. And fans who are down on Mozeliak will continue to be, the word I used in something that I wrote, they would continue to be venomous about Mozeliak, but having a new manager in place would change the subject for a while, especially if it's someone that's popular with the fans. It doesn't mean that fans are going to be happy that Mozeliak's still calling the shots, but they'll have a new manager to sort of focus on to see if anything's going to change there. I'm not going to go over managers right now, potential managers. All right, the third reason why Marmol could be fired, Chaim Bloom's elevated to the top of the baseball department after the season, and he determines, hey, nothing personal, but I think I ought to choose my own manager, and I have some people in mind. Start fresh, reset, go in a different direction, and you basically reinvent the leadership in your organization. You have a new head of baseball operations, and then you have a new manager in the dugout, and a lot of new coaches as well. All right, number three, what about Chaim Bloom as far as reasons that Marmol could be fired? What about number three? Chaim Bloom gets the baseball operations job, and he's in charge. Have we thought about the possibility that Chaim Bloom may actually like what he sees in Marmol? I'm just putting it out there. As I always like to say, I don't want to have to duck. I don't want one of these hats to get injured because I'm telling you something, discussing a possibility you're not going to want to hear. But you know me, man, I believe in putting it all out there, all the different variables, right? Leaving nothing unsaid as far as like how this could go. And there's so many different ways it could go. Well, suppose Chaim Bloom says, I think Oli's done a good job with this team this year. It had a lot of obstacles, a lot of things that, he really couldn't control. So we want to see him next year. We're going to bring him back. We have not thought about that much, have we? I'm just putting it out there. The fourth reason, and I discussed it in yesterday's happy hour time video, if the Cardinals have a restless yearning, they are determined to hire Skip Schumacher. They, in their heads, in their hearts, they've already made that choice. We know what's up. There's already 3 major league teams looking for a new manager already. You got Cincinnati, you got Seattle, you got the White Sox. There's going to be more, as we discussed yesterday. The list is going to expand. There will be competition for Skip Schumacher's services. And the Cardinals know, well, if we want to get Skip, we're going to have to be aggressive, and we're going to have to do it now. We can't wait. So that would be another reason why Marmol would be shown the door. And by the way, can I growl about something for a moment? I was growling a little bit in the comments last night. I'll tell you one thing I'm kind of tired of hearing, and we can disagree, but I'm just being honest with you. I'm kind of tired of hearing because I don't understand it. People basically saying, no, you don't bring Schumacher in here. It's that Cardinals connection. They got to get away from that. They got to hire a proven manager. They can't just keep promoting the company men, or just because the fans like a guy. They got to get away from this Cardinal way stuff. Okay. Skip Schumacher has paid his dues as a major league manager. And by the way, I'm not the leader of the Schumacher for manager campaign. I'm not running a campaign here. I like Skip Schumacher, and if he would be the Cardinals manager, I would say, well, that's a good choice. That makes sense. But I don't understand this logic. No, it's got to be someone from the outside. He is from the outside. He was a bench coach here in 2022 when they won 93 games. He became the Miami Marlins manager, and against all odds, got him into the playoffs and won Manager of the Year award in the National League. Before that, before he came to St. Louis to be the bench coach in Diego, and he did everything in terms of different things. He worked with minor leaguers. He was an instructor. He was a teacher. He was in the front office. learning about baseball operations. He was part of the baseball operations. He was a first base coach. So a guy that did something that no one thought he could do, which is to take the Marlins to the playoffs. And the fact that a new baseball director came in and he wants to have his own guy because Skip was hired by somebody else. So they're not going to pick up the option on Skip's contract for 2025. And some people almost interpret that as like, well, he failed there. They're getting rid of him. No, it's not that. It's a new boss coming in who's got his own ideas about what he wants in a manager. And maybe their early discussions didn't go well, because that's the other thing that ticks me off. When one of you said this last night, and you got my blood going. It's all right. I like that. Although it's a little harder to get to sleep. Somebody said the fact, well, if Schumacher comes in here, he'll just be another Mozeliak puppet. Oh my goodness. Oh, doctor. Skip Schumacher ain't nobody's puppet, all right? Skip Schumacher is from the Tony La Russa school, all right? He doesn't do puppet shows. He's a pretty strong guy who stands his ground, and he's got his own ideas, and he does not hesitate to speak his mind and to challenge his boss, the way Tony La Russa challenged Walt Jocketty. But the idea that some of you, again, all due respect, love, hugs, and kisses, but still, I can disagree with you just as you can disagree with me. The idea that Skip Schumacher would be like in the latest line of Mozeliak puppets, crazy, okay? That's absolutely nuts. I'm sure you're all very, very smart in every other area, but that particular thing is cuckoo. So you're going to cross a guy off the list who has proven he's a good manager in the big leagues because he did something nobody thought he could do. Got the Marlins to the playoffs and won Manager of the Year. But no, let me get my pen. We're crossing him off the list because he was a Cardinal. Now, if the Cardinals were thinking about promoting another company, man, that's a whole different thing. But you can't just automatically say, no, he shouldn't even be considered because he played for the Cardinals and for 1 year he was a coach of the Cardinals. He played for a guy that pretty damn good manager. I think he's in the Hall of Fame, and a lot of that rubbed off. All right, let me get back on track here. So Ken Rosenthal said what he said, and I wanted to just sidetrack because it's important to sidetrack. I'm not rambling. This is very much part of the discussion. It's just funny how even Skip Schumacher, you got people that right away, no, they can't do that. It's like everyone's got an idea, obviously. There's a lot of different ideas about who should be the manager. I've seen some really good suggestions, and we know who they are, like Terry Francona, for example. Schumacher, a lot of people pumping up Yadier Molina. I'm kind of pumping up if you're going to go that route, you're going to hire a Cardinal great who wants to be a manager. I'm more of a Pujols guy, and I've explained the reasons. And if I think that Albert's interested in the job and they have a job to give him, I'll explain again in greater detail why I think Albert Pujols would be an obvious choice. And I don't care if he hasn't managed in the big leagues. My goodness. What, he doesn't know baseball? And Tony La Russa has said many, many times, one of the things he loved about Albert Pujols is that after so many games in the 11 seasons they had together, manager, player in St. Louis, one of the first guys in his office every single night, every single day was Albert Pujols, wanting to know why La Russa made this pitching change, why he decided to go with this piece of strategy. It didn't work, but what did you see? I want to know what you saw. I want to know what you're thinking. Just soaking up all the knowledge that he could, thinking like a manager, even when he was a young man at the peak of his career athletically. So I would talk about that. I'm just throwing that out there right now. But there are a lot of good choices. And again, with all due respect to one gentleman, Joe Girardi, no chance. And if they hired Joe Girardi, I might have to move to another market and talk about another team because Joe Girardi, but the guy that had literally like $2 billion of worth of payroll when he managed the Yankees. They were number one and number two in payroll, one or the other, like the whole time he was there. He got the one World Series. Think about all the other teams with spending half as much money, one quarter of much money. Got to the World Series. Then he goes to Philadelphia and he gets fired because the players hated him. Because there's this old school stuff and he's, just always in people's face for the wrong way. They turned on him. They fired him and they promoted Rob Thompson and they got to the World Series. But we really need Joe Girardi here. Yeah, because he won so much with the Yankees, right? And he did a marvelous job at Philadelphia. Woo! Anyway, here's my question. Let me get to it. Here's my question. Don't get mad at me for asking it because you're going to you have a chance to answer in the comment section, which again, I love the comments. Is there anything about Oli Marmol where you would say, I don't like that they bring him back. I wouldn't have done it, but I want to be fair. And if 2025 is like a make or break year for him or whatever, I'm going to have an open mind about it. Is there anything there that would inspire you to say something like that? My guess is most of you would say no, which is fine. It's your opinion. Is there anything he could do as the manager of the Cardinals in 2025? And again, we don't know who's running the team. We don't know how aggressive or not aggressive they'll be in terms of improving the roster. So we don't know what he'll have to work with. It would be dramatically different from what he has worked with the last 2 years, especially this year, which is more relevant to the conversation. Is there anything that could happen early next season, first half of the season, where some of you, a lot of you, many of you, 5 of you would say, in effect, I was against this. I wanted Marmol out of here, but I got to say he's doing a really good job. Is there any, could you ever get to that place in 2025? I'm just really curious. I'd love to hear what you say about that. Some people have their minds made up. It's like, just say no to Oli. I don't want to hear about anybody else as far as reasons to keep him, get him out. I'll never buy a ticket again until he's out, until Mo's out. I'm very familiar with those sentiments and I understand them completely. I'm not criticizing anybody who feels that way. But I am a little different because I don't think that Oli Marmol this year did a bad job at all. And I really don't. And I know that some people will never, ever, ever give him credit for anything because there's still huge pushback every time I mention something that is backed by, 25, 50 facts. The Cardinals had a great bullpen this year, and it's the reason why they're up to 81 wins, and it's the reason why they were so good. They really were at winning close games. Oli Marmol did a terrific job running the bullpen. I had a baseball analyst reach out to me earlier this week, and he said, the one thing about Marmol, I know the fans don't like him. He said, I personally hadn't seen any manager run a bullpen better in 2024. But again, I know some of you go like that. You don't want to hear it. Okay. Duly noted. But that doesn't mean I'm going to back off my opinion. I actually believe the Cardinals overachieved. And first of all, and this is not me saying I want Oli Marmol back. I've said I think they could do better. I think of the right guy, it would make sense. But if they brought him back, I don't think it's the end of the world as we know it. And I think that all in all, he did about as well as I expected him to do, because let's start from the very beginning. Let me get my notes here. Let's start from the very beginning. There were 7 preseason projections about the Cardinals from all the standard bearers of these projections. How many games would the Cardinals win? And they all have their systems. Well, those 7, what I did is I took the projected win total based on the talent that they had, and nothing changed. I mean, it's pretty much the same talent. All right, what's the average win total projection? And basically, it was 81 wins, 81.2 if you average them all out. Well, they've what are they? They're 81-77 with 4 games to go. It's possible that they're going to end up, if they win those 4, they would have 85 wins, which would actually be a 14-game improvement over last season. But also, 85 wins is more than I think many of you, correct me if I'm wrong, thought that was like their max. That's the best they could do. 85 wins, maybe 86. Now, I don't know if they're going to win all 4 games. I'm sure they're going to lose 1 or 2, but let's just say they split the final 4. That would be 83 wins, which would actually be right around the total that many of us expected. It's kind of like in that ballpark, given the absence of premium talent on that roster. Not absence, shortage is a better word, of premium talent. Or he could finish, they lose all 4, 81 and 81. But that would be right around what the projection said they would be. The roster is important. The person and people that put the roster together, they have a lot to do with what the final record is. A manager can make certain things better. He made the bullpen better with his handling of the bullpen. They won a lot of close games. Excellent record in games decided by 1, 2, or 3 runs, anywhere in that area. Excellent record. You don't win those kind of games, and you don't have a bullpen that's basically top 5, top 6 in quality in the majors if you have a clown for a manager who has no idea what he's doing with the bullpen. I got an open mind, but I'm just telling you right now, there is nothing that anybody can say that would convince me to change my mind on that. Nothing. And the other thing is, you could make the case that the Cardinals overachieved this year. Well, what do I mean by that? You probably know where I'm going. Based on their run differential, their expected win total right now, instead of being what it is, 4 games over 500, their expected win total based on a minus 52 run differential should be, their record should be 12 games under 500, which is 73-85. And they have outperformed a really bad run differential, which again, I think a lot of that has to do with the bullpen and winning tight games. But the Cardinals, despite ranking 20th, 21st in run differential in the majors, they've outperformed in terms of the victory column. They've outperformed some teams that have much better run differentials. The Giants, for example, have 79 wins. They're on the plus side in run differential. Cincinnati is a +6 run differential. They've won 5 fewer games than the Cardinals. Boston, +8 in the run differential. They've won fewer games than the Cardinals. Minnesota, a +25 in the run differential, and they've won 1 more game than the Cardinals. Detroit, +44 in the run differential. They got 3 more wins than the Cardinals do. Seattle, +64. And again, the Cardinals are like, what did I say they were, minus 52 or something like that? Detroit's a +44, and they've won 84 games. That's only 3 more than the Cardinals have. Seattle's a +64 in the run differential, and they've won 1 more game than the Cardinals have. And then you have the Cubs, a +66. Craig Counsell's the manager there, a +66. That's a good, healthy run differential. The Cubs have the same number of wins as the Cardinals. And so other teams in that same area of a bad run differential, all of these teams are nowhere near really where the Cardinals are in terms of wins. Because they outperformed that really bad run differential as dramatically as they did. I mean, that's an 8-game swing from where they should be. Instead of Instead of +4, they should be 12 under in terms of their their 1-loss record. They should be 73-85 instead of 81-77. So my point is, I'm gonna close it with this and re-ask the question: is there anything that would lead you to reconsider if the decision is made to bring him back? Would you have an open mind? Would you give him another chance? Can you be persuaded, even based on what they do, if it's a good thing? if it's a bad season next year, well, then you guys can go nuts. I mean, you can just rip away, right? But if they bring him back and he does better, they do better than people expected. Well, again, which they did this year. But I guarantee you, some of you are hearing this now, and you're like, Bernie, shut up about that. They didn't do better than people expect. Yeah, they did actually. Should be much worse than they are. And that's not much of a compliment. By the way, I'm not saying, listen, I'm not going to be running through the streets of Skinker to Bolivar and like running on the campus of Washington University with like an Oli Marmol flag. Okay. All right. This isn't the goal to outperform your run differential. Your goal is to get into the playoffs, well, win your division, get into playoffs, and then go on a run. But it always takes us back to the same place, which is you can't stand John Mozeliak. You think he's ruined the team. Stagnant, outdated, stubborn, arrogant, complacent, terrible moves, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But yet you want to blame the manager for not doing more with John Mozeliak, the guy that you want gone like now. You wanted him gone 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Yet you think somehow he should have had a playoff team or a division winning team with the guy that you hate in a baseball sense. The guy that you hate, John Mozeliak, is the one that gave him the roster. That don't make sense to me, my friends. It just doesn't. You don't have to like Oli Marmol. I have blasted Oli Marmol a lot, but I also try to be fair. And yeah, he did a good job at the bullpen. So you can try to change my mind. Ain't going to happen. Anyway, tell us what you think. Could you accept under any circumstances Oli Marmol coming back? Simple as that. I can't wait to see what you have to say about it. It's a really good topic. It really is. And it's pertinent because it could happen. That'll do it for this edition of the Bernie Show. You know me, I'm going to be back later on, and we'll talk about something else. We'll have a happy hour, Bernie Miklasz Show, the new tradition. You all have a great day until then. Thank you.